So if you're a beginner at improvising, aside from learning the scales, where and how do you start? Well, stay tuned for my 3-step beginner improvisation method. Now, improvisation is the highest form of playing music, not reading. Improvisation is communicating, and you can communicate at any level of experience you have right now. Hi, I'm Donna from DonnaSchwartzMusic.com, and I'm the creator of Jazz Improvisation Explained, Get a Killer Saxophone Tone, Master Your Favorite Sax Solos, Practice Smarter, and many other courses to boost your performance and improvisation skills to the next level. Now don't forget, tap that subscribe bell to get notified when new videos come out each week and for more tips like this one. What does a beginner improviser mean? It could be someone who started their instrument because they wanted to learn how to improvise, so they're new at playing, but it could also mean someone who's been playing for a while and just never really had the time to learn how to improvise. They were trained to read music, not improvise. Maybe they didn't have a teacher that was skilled enough, that lived close to them. Either way, you could improvise even at the beginner level. So let's get right to it. Step number 1. Immerse yourself in the music that you like. You know, just like you were spoken to as an infant before you started to make your own sounds, listen to all the instruments. Listen to how they interact with each other. Listen to the song form. Listen to what makes the song unique. Chances are that uniqueness, if you like it a lot, is going to come out in your improvisation later on. Step number 2, work on your own technique. Learn the vocabulary. Just like you were given new vocabulary words as a child, use the scales, the chord tones, and get comfortable playing them in all the keys. And of course, use a metronome for good timing. Now, another good resource is Jamey Aebersold's Volume 24, Major and Minor. In fact, I did a video on the order of Aebersold volumes you should follow if you're a beginner to improvisation. Now, if you use the Aebersold book, treat each example like an exercise first. Don't try to put that pressure of trying to put out a perfect improvisation on yourself. That's not going to happen. Now, honestly, the best way to use the book is to read the text in the beginning, but I know no one does that. All right, so you're probably the person that's going to go to the play-along section in the middle of the book. All right, so you're going to find it for your instrument, and let me explain how to use this. So this is example 1 in the B-flat section. So track 1 for me is in the key of C. So the first thing I would do, step 1, I would play this scale up and down. I'd use a metronome for good timing, okay, but I would really, really get to know these notes and get fluent with the fingerings. Now this measure is not in the play along, okay, meaning that these are the 2 measures that keep getting repeated over and over and over again for the play along. And there's 2 different chords. So for me, there's a C chord over here. It's actually a C major 7. And this chord's interesting. It's a D minor, okay, over a G. That means there's G in the bass and D minor on top. This is what these chords sound like. The first step that you want to do is, after you practice the scale, is to now emphasize the darkened in notes. Those are the chord tones. So if you don't have theory experience, this is going to really help you. So you'll want to focus on the first chord tone for each measure and play that back and forth until you can hear the chord changes. Then you'll do the first 2 chord tones. That's the 1 and 3 of each of these scales, and go back and forth until you're really comfortable with the chord changes. And then you'll keep adding a chord tone as you get comfortable and more fluent on your horn. He has 5 chord tones for each measure. Now, you don't have to fit in every single chord tone in each measure as you're working this out as an exercise, but what you can do if you're able to slow down the track, then you will be able to do that. The tracks go a little bit fast for a beginner. The next part of this is to focus on the scale choices. So you could start off by playing the first 3 notes of each scale of the chord. Go back and forth over and over again until you're really comfortable with it. After you do the first 3 notes, you could do the first 5 notes of each scale. And again, go back and forth until you're comfortable with it, until you can play the entire scale. Again, it's an exercise. It's not improvisation yet, it's an exercise.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Is this helpful? Hey, let me know in the comments below by typing the word helpful or by telling me what step was helpful for you. Now, step 3. In order to own it, you've got to use it. It's like using new vocabulary in a sentence and in many different ways. So if you're going to use volume 24, combine the chord tones with the chord scales. Now you could also use his licks, his typical major scale licks found earlier in the book as examples. And what's great about these, they're good vocabulary and you could hear how the note choices sound against the chords. And Jamey demos this stuff along with his own solos where he uses more advanced concepts like chromaticism and enclosures at the end of the CD. Now, if you don't have access to volume 24, which I don't know why you don't, you really should, but as an alternative, you can use the app iReal Pro. You could change the tempo, you could change the beat. Okay, if you don't like jazz, you could put, Latin beat, you could put a rock beat, a blues shuffle in there, all right? You could make it however long you want. You could slow down the tempo, speed it up. It's a great resource for you. And all you need to do is type in the chords. So I would type in for that first chord, C major 7. And then the second chord, I would actually make it a 5-7 chord as opposed to the D minor over the G. I would want to hear the chord changes a little bit more pronounced. That's my tip for you. Now I would also suggest work on one key per week and rinse and repeat the steps. That's it. Now if you want more guidance with your improvisation, take my free quiz to find out exactly where you're at right now, and you're going to get your next best step for improvising in a free video lesson after you complete the quiz. Hey, thanks so much for joining me. On that note, take care. Have a great day.